Welcome. This video is going to focus on breathing, and we're going to focus more on the lungs. So I did a video on the diaphragms, thoracic and pelvic. This is going to focus on the lungs. Our organs don't get enough attention. When we work with our body, we tend to work with it or think of it from this muscular skeletal place, right? Like my bones or my muscles, my joints. And that's great. But we have all this other stuff. And our organs are actually a source of support in the body. They have their own way of moving and they have their own rhythms. So we can hold tension or heaviness, and we call that tone, in our organs. So our organs can be like this, and our organs can be like this. And then it makes things more effortful, okay? So when we work with the lungs, we're going to do a little embodied anatomy with the lungs today through a lovely somatic practice. We are going to create more support for our neck and head, more support for our shoulders and our arms, more support for our back, especially our lower back and our pelvis, by working with the lobes of the lungs. Kind of wild, right? And again, when we're working with our breath, when we're working in this slow somatic way, where we can notice tension and holding and we're able to work on releasing it, we're also providing information to our nervous system. Our nervous system, bless its heart, it listens and it records. It's not a great decision maker. So if you do something enough, that's the decision it makes. You've done it enough, it says, I guess this is what we want to do. So in order to change patterning, because remember in my first video I talked about you're not broken, you don't need to be fixed, yeah? You're not a clock. You're a human being and you have patterns. And so your body may be in a surviving pattern right now. If you have chronic pain or illness or an injury, right? Whether that's a psychological injury, whether that's an emotional wound, whether that's a body wound, right? It's all the same. And so it's surviving. It's doing what it needs to do in order to try to protect you. That doesn't always feel nice, right? But that's what it's doing. So what we want to do is repattern. That takes a little patience. That takes some practice. It also takes compassion. So, and aren't we so good at that? Aren't we so good at self-compassion? Yeah, no, right? So, so we get to practice those things as we're, exploring and just kind of, being a little courageous and getting into our bodies. Now, I'm going to do two practices, or we could think of it as one long practice, on the floor. If that's not accessible to you, that does not feel good, you can do this in a chair or in your bed, okay? Totally the same. You're just gonna do whatever I'm saying there. But we're also gonna do a practice where we're laying on our belly. And you can do that in bed, but it usually doesn't feel very good because the bed's soft. It's actually worse in bed sometimes than on a floor. So you can do the practice in a chair, but the reason why we lie on the floor on our belly is because we want to get that feedback, right? So if you want to do this in a chair or sit it up in your bed, grab some pillows, and we want them kind of sturdy pillows, or grab some blankets. Like I've got these yoga blankets back there, and when we pack them together, they're nice and firm, yeah? Or a bolster, and you just want to bring that into you, like the floor, so you get that feedback, okay? So before we go there, I want to show you your body from the inside. So I'm going to share the screen. I think this is helpful because it gives us a map. And if you want my lovely explanation of You Are Here map, you can go to the video about our breathing. So here we go. I'm going to do my sharing. And then I am going to come over here because I'm not even on the right screen. And then I'm going to move this. And then I'm going to come over here. And boom, here we are. Okay, so we know this from the last one, right? There's your fantastic thoracic diaphragm. Here's your lungs. And our lungs, I'm going to let this play. We have lobes of the lungs. And we call these joints, okay? And over here, we have 3. On the right, we have 3 lobes. And you can kind of see that. I'll get us a better view. On the left, we have 2. So 3 and 2. Why would that be? Our heart in the middle. We have to make room for it, okay? So when we embody our lungs, the practice that we do, we are going to embody as if we had 2 upper. So here's a upper, and then here's the lower on this side. And then over on this side, we have the upper, and then we have a middle. And then over here, if you can see this joint a little bit, they'll show it here. There's the middle, and there's the lower, okay? So when we embody our lungs, we are going to pretend. Can you see how big these lower lobes are? Look how huge they are. I'm going to tell you exactly where they are on your body. You're going to be amazed at how big your lungs are. And then that might change your breathing, right? When you see, oh my gosh, they're really big. And then we have all this yummy stuff inside. So I'm going to pause that. We are going to practice this as if we have 2 upper lobes, 2 middle lobes, and 2 lower lobes. And we do that because what's happening inside here, you can see all these beautiful branches. Aren't we amazing? We're like nature. This is behaving similarly, okay? And so you can just trust me on that. And you're going to be able to feel it, okay? I think that's all we need to see of that. I'm going to stop my share. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to come down to the floor. I have a mat. If you're on a carpet, you probably don't need anything underneath you. Now, I always like to use a blanket. And if you are someone with like broader shoulders, you might want to fold this up. You might just be using pillows. But we're going to lie down and I'll explain that. And maybe I'll move this a little closer. Okay. We want our head to be in line with our spine because it's part of it. So when we lie down, we wouldn't want our head back here, right? Because that's information for our nervous system and it says, oh my gosh, I'm falling. And then we just start to like grip. So we bring something underneath and we pull it right to our shoulders. That's it, okay? Now, your upper lobes, I want you to find your collarbones. Now, I'm going to do this seated. I'm doing this lying down because it's relaxing. If you want to do it seated, you can, remember? So I'm going to come up to sitting. So if you're ever like, what is she talking about? You can look up and see me. So if you find your collarbones and you move up and you find your neck. Yeah. If you go to the edge of your neck and like middle part of your collarbones, I like to cross my arms to do this. I don't want to mess up my mic, so I'm going to move that down. You won't appreciate that in your ears. And we can cup over. So we're cupping over here. just like this. That's where your upper lobe of your lung lives. And can you breathe into them? So I think sometimes we think of our lungs more in the front, but they're very three-dimensional. Breathing into those upper lobes. Now here's a funny thing to ask you. Could you breathe from them? From them. Not into them, from them. Did that change anything for you? Did your breath kind of soften? So that's more of a cellular breath. And do you notice what moves with them? And what might feel really nice is when you exhale, let those shoulders come with. Let your muscles and your bones follow your lungs, those upper lobes. Let's do one more. It can be interesting to only do one side at a time, and you can compare. You will feel a difference. I'm not doing that just for the sake of time, but you can always experience that on your own. Do one side, see what it feels like, and then do the other. All right, now let's move to the mid-lobes. Mid-lobes. We can wrap our, now I'm going to move this back. We can wrap our arms right into our armpits. So feeling the sides there. So our mid-lobes are a little bit more in the front, and they're like chest area. So let's see what it feels like to breathe into the mid-lobes of the lungs. Do you feel your ribs move out? Very three-dimensional too. Now, what if you breathed from your mid-lobes? And if you're not sure what that means, don't worry about it. Like, just do whatever you think it is, yeah? Now, can we notice how when the mid-lobes breathe, those upper lobes are breathing as well, but they just get to ride that. And as you exhale, can the arms, the shoulders just follow in and feel a release? But the inhale here is kind of interesting because we get to fill those lobes and they really give us wideness in the body, support for the shoulders. All right, let's finish that one. Then we're going to go to the lower lobes of the lungs. So you can take your hands and flip them back. The lower lobes of the lungs, if you want to find a shoulder blade, if that's okay for you to do there, the bottom edge of your shoulder blade, you could also have a friend kind of rub the bottom or trace your shoulder blades so you can feel where they are if it's not possible for you to get up here. And then if you travel down, those lower lobes go to about your 10th rib. You have 12 of them. And 11 and 12 are floating ribs, so they're like really low. So that's a huge lung. Yeah? So you can put your hands here. If that's really uncomfortable, you can put your hands here and know that you're directing that information back. You could do this with a belt or a scarf, but if you happen to have like a flex band around, you can always use that and take it around the back, and then you have that as feedback. Yeah? Okay, so here we go. Lower lobes of the lungs. Let's breathe into them. from the bottom edge of the shoulder blade all the way down to the 10th rib. Now the lower lobes of the lungs, I call them the legs of the lungs, lung legs, because can you feel how when they fill, they travel down? And they're creating a fullness in that lower back area, and it even travels down to the pelvis. So if we've got any issues in our lower back or our SI joint, ooh, do we want to check in with these? And you're just going to keep breathing, and I'm just going to keep talking to you. So think about if we sit all day. These are like hanging out. They're not breathing, right? So we want to really wake them up. And then keep one back there and bring a hand to the same side to that upper lobe so you can feel how big your lungs are. Then we can just let our arms come down and let's do some lobes of the lung breathing. Now you have all of this movement, right? Upper lobes go up, mid lobes go out, lower lobes go down. Everything's moving and a grooving, yeah? This is also impacting the rest of your organs. So they get to feel this sense of fullness, and they actually get to be a source of support for your musculoskeletal system. Cool stuff, huh? Now you also have those diaphragms. Can we bring those in from our last practice? And how are you feeling doing this? Is this relaxing to you? Does it help you feel a little bit more connected? So that's another thing we want to remember. Our body's very holistic. So movement is a whole body experience no matter what you're doing. And everything is meant to support everything else. So when we have an issue with a certain part of the body, we might spend some time really focusing on that area, getting it back in order. But then we want to be taking it back into the whole system. Because I got to tell you, sometimes it's not the place of the injury that was the problem. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. All right, one more beautiful lobes of the lung breath and relax. Fantastic. So thanks for joining me for our embodied anatomy, lobes of the lungs, and breathing.